Page 3 now, the devastating fallout from Obamacare. Open season for health insurance enrollment began earlier this month. Millions of Americans are now searching for coverage, but finding frustration. They're being confronted by outrageous prices, with premium increases in the double digits.
Premiums are rising once again. And in states like Montana, folks purchasing plans from the Obamacare exchanges are getting hit with double-digit rate increases. Take Cindy from Missoula, Montana. Like all Americans, President Obama promised her lower health care premiums under Obamacare. But when Cindy opened her mailbox this past month, she saw a letter from her health insurer telling her that next year she will face a staggering 40% increase in her health care premiums. Obamacare is just one more bill she can't afford. And sadly, those impacted the hardest by these steep rate increases are those who can least afford it.
Senator Dane says that the Senate will be voting to repeal the president's deeply flawed health care law and will work to replace Obamacare with state-led options. In the meantime, Democratic leadership is trying to use its political muscle to help the unions by attacking the Cadillac tax. Remember that one? Remember that one from 2010? It applied to health insurance premiums that were really nice. Joining me now from Washington, D.C., the president of the Market Institute, Charlie Sauer. And Charlie, thanks very much for coming on. Over the weekend at the Democrat national debate that we saw on television, some of us did, okay, 5, Bernie Sanders said he wanted to put insurance companies right out of business. At least he's honest.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing that we get in the Democratic debates. We seem to have to, Hillary Clinton has trouble relating to the base when you have Bernie Sanders saying what the base really wants to say, and Hillary doing everything that she can not to say that. But these healthcare increases, they do come in two flavors here. So the one in the state exchanges that we see is actually a problem of Obamacare itself. Obamacare said, no, you can't actually have the plan you need. You have to have a plan that has everything you need and want, but then it also has to have all of these extra things. And we see a bunch of silly items that healthcare plans have to have, and some plans that have things that people just really don't want. But the Cadillac tax does something else, and Obamacare's chief economic advisor, Jason Furman, has said that the Cadillac tax is the single piece of leverage that Obamacare creates over the private sector. And this is a problem that we saw pre-Obamacare, right. Is there's a thing called the employer exemption, and that lets employers basically put tax-free money towards healthcare. So when unions bargained with employers for benefits, instead of going towards pay, they always ended up going towards healthcare because healthcare was the cheapest raise that an employer could give, and unions could brag about a bigger gift, a bigger benefit to their employees. And because of the government weighting in this direction, healthcare costs were continuously going up. The Cadillac tax, as the Goodman Institute points out, is one of the only things that actually puts limits on the wasteful spending that the government encouraged in healthcare. But as he also points out, as John Goodman points out, this is one of the sloppiest possible ways to do it. There's a lot better ways to do this, but that's kind of the Obamacare tax. This is an awful system that we're going into, and it starts in 2018. So when we see Reid and Pelosi going after it now, that's because they really only have 2 more times that they can do this before it gets implemented and hurts the unions who have this as their #1 target before 2018.
Now, hold on just a second, because the unions got this can kicked down the road. So now that we're sort of talking about it, it started out, it was supposed to kick in 2016, and then maybe it was 2014 to 2016 is where we are coming into, and now it's up to 2018 because they didn't want to harm their union friends from whom they get all kinds of political donations. They wanted to put off the pain as long as possible. In the meantime, no one else gets any relief from the pain. According to the new study, Kaiser Family Survey, 134% increase in employee contributor costs. What that means is you, working for a company, are paying about 134% more than you did before in just last year. And in fact, the costs are going to go up even more. So this is wealth redistribution writ large, and it's being written right on your backside, America. So how is that going to play out for everyone else?
Well, one of the parts that I find interesting about this, and if you look at another Kaiser study, they say the Cadillac tax is now going to hit 1 in 4 American families. But one of the interesting ways that the bill was written, because this was a bill written by Democrats, passed by Democrats, and is now the Cadillac tax is being opposed by Democrats. They had to say, no, we're not going to tax you union members. We're going to tax the insurance companies. So the same insurance companies that Bernie Sanders wants to put out of business is where this tax gets implemented. And now that's silly when you think about it in markets, because the insurance companies will just charge their clients, and the clients will charge the employers, and the employees, and the employers will charge the employees. But that's what Hillary Clinton has to do. That's what Nancy Pelosi has to do. And that's what Reid has to do. If they want to wind this back, they have to go remove a 40% surtax on these plans from insurers. And that's something that the hardcore left isn't going to stand for, because the Bernie Sanders supporters, which are many, want to put these companies out of business. So they're in a rock and a hard place. And I think we just sit back and watch them fight it out, because honestly, Jason Furman, when he says that this is the single piece of leverage over the private market, he's right. If we go back to the Goodman Institute, John Goodman's solution for this for years has been tax credits, tax subsidies. Speaker Ryan has been there. There's bills in the Senate that have been there. And what that does is it provides the money up front to the people. But then after the tax subsidy, after that tax benefit, then you have to make an equal decision between more pay and more health care. And that helps rationalize the health care market once you get outside of what the government has decided to be helpful on. And the government right now gives an unlimited benefit. The more money employers want to put in, the more money that government will subsidize it. So the only way to put a limit on that is either to put a tax on it, which is the sloppiest way to possibly do it, or to take the money government's putting into health care and put it up front.
This is what they should do with it. Obamacare, get rid of it. Root and branch. Thanks a lot. I appreciate you coming on. Coming up next, stop the tape, setting the record straight on illegal immigration.
We obviously continue to believe strongly in the legal power of the arguments that we've been making for nearly a year now.